Justin and Jai are a couple of guys who know they're gonna die, so they're biding time by consuming content and wasting their breath. It's a podcast called Amusing Ourselves to Death.
Oh, vanity of sleep, hope, dream, endless desire. The horses of disaster plunge through the heavy clay. Beloved, let your eyes half close and your heart beat over my heart, and your hair fall over my breast, drowning love's lonely hour in deep twilight of rest, and hiding their tossing manes and tumultuous feet. Kevin. Kevin Garvey. You don't have to hide from me.
And that, of course, is Ann Dowd, aka Patty Levin's final speech before she slices her own throat in episode 8.
Can you imagine if HBO just had like some hacky like Chris Hardwick type doing like a wrap-up show of The Leftovers and just like, whoa, what was up with that speech?
All right, we got a lot to cover. We got Amy Brenneman here.
Yeah, she still can't speak though.
We have George Nicodemus for no reason. Welcome to part 2 of.
We got both of the Frost twins just hanging out.
Yeah, they're just hanging out. And we got this cool little doll of Patty with their neck sliced open.
It's a Funko Pop.
Yeah, it's a Funko Pop.
Which they made Funko Pops for the show. Do you know that?
Yeah, I think I saw them in the store.
They made from Kevin. It's interesting. I don't know if you know this, Justin, but they have one for Kevin Garvey with his season 3 beard, but his season 1 uniform for Mapleton. He didn't have a beard in season 1.
It's true, he didn't.
These are just the details that just keep me up at night.
Yeah.
So.
Funko. Fucking Funko.
Just making our culture shittier by the day.
Speaking of making culture shittier, welcome to the second half of Amusing Ourselves to Death, a podcast hosted by Jaya Peck and Justin Passano, where we discuss
things we like. There's no real strict definition on this yet, as we're still figuring out this show, and it's freshman year.
Yeah.
I'd say we might even hopefully someday discuss something as mysterious and troublesome and as a book. You read books, Justin? Books?
Book?
Hell yeah. We're going to get real. That's when we get like real pretentious.
Yeah.
Talk about literature.
Yeah. Oh, hey, I was a literature major. So,
yeah?
In college, yeah. I have a bachelor's degree in books.
We all fell for it, didn't we?
And I don't even read since. No, that would be great. Yeah, we do books, like all sorts of media. We're just consuming because the world's on fire and we're all going to die sooner than later.
Yeah.
So why not just amuse ourselves?
To death.
Not
actively, but it's still, what else are we going to fill the time with?
Right.
Lasting relationships and friends and giving it back to the community?
No, I want to go to work and then I want to watch things and then go to sleep until I finally sleep forever.
It's all hail the screen, baby.
Hail the screen. This is part 2 of our deep dive into Leftover season 1, just season 1 specifically. We're not really going to get into anything else. So
S1 only.
If you haven't listened to the first part of this, go back and listen. We did kind of we chatted a bunch. Now we're going to go more into instead of like an outline of the show, kind of our favorite episodes, some analysis for the second hour. So go do that. Pause this and listen to that first.
Or they could have listened to this one first and
nothing matters.
Nothing matters. It's.
Let me just light up a cigarette real quick.
It's a good brand.
Thanks.
Did you pack them against your fist before you opened the pack?
I did.
Yeah.
Well, I spent all night doing that, so I didn't have to do it now for the audio. But for people who can't see, I am dressed all in white, as is Jaya, and we are smoking heavily.
We don't podcast for enjoyment. We podcast to remember.
Right. Stop distracting yourselves and strip away your emotions and your physical
attachments,
like tethers. Attachments, and just
start eating oatmeal and soup all the time.
Yeah, it's nice. You sleep on a floor, on a gym mat like you're in kindergarten, and
you get to brush your teeth in front of a blank wall.
Yeah. that's what else is there to say? Nothing. So let's just stop speaking now, and the rest of the podcast will be Jai and I passing notes to each other.
Let's be writing on little legal pads back and forth.
Yeah. I love like the
oh, that noise.
Yeah, that noise of like them writing on the whole last hour of the podcast should be this. But yeah, let's get into it. You had some stuff you wanted to get into.
I mean, one of my first notes at the very top of my page was, what? No Thanksgiving episode? Because in terms of missed opportunities,
right.
Just all of the main characters just saying, who wants the leftovers? Who wants to take leftovers home?
So many opportunities for titular lines in the show.
That's almost just a casualty of the 10-episode model that's been seen more frequency these days. You know, it used to be like years ago, like going back to like Westerns in the 50s was like, we're going to do like 40. An episode a week. So 52, look at Wikipedia for like Gunsmoke. It's like 47 episodes, season 1, 52 episodes, season 2.
Yeah.
Now we're like almost down to like 6, 8, 10. 10 seems to be like the standard that's stuck.
Well, now it's getting to be less. I think the final season of this show was.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Sorry.
9 or
9?
8.
What are you talking about? This show?
Like just new shows. This show and new shows on Netflix. I've noticed. Like Mindhunter, it was like 8 episodes in the second season or something like that. It's like it seems like the first season's always 10, and now we're getting even less. Pretty soon, it's just gonna all be movies.
It depends on how successful it is. It's like if it's doing well, then they're gonna give it more episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes, and you got Game of Thrones, which had like 6 episodes. And that's a whole. Anyway, this is about the leftovers.
It's about the leftovers.
I guess. I mean, we could go episode by episode, but I think maybe it's just maybe more prudent.
It's a lot.
Time.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I just made notes as I watched this. We can go down.
Same.
Then we can just take turns. You should go first if you have any thoughts about anything specific that you want to talk about.
There was, I rewatched this. I watched the show when it aired. I probably rewatched it before season 2 aired, and I rewatched it before season 3 aired. And so three rewatches. I've gone through this gauntlet about 3 times, maybe 4 times.
It's a brutal gauntlet.
It's brutal, man. But it's just the only
no wonder you're so dark.
It's the only way I can feel things these days is watching The Leftovers.
Amen.
I did notice this kind of interesting recurring imagery throughout the season of fire. As we know, the season finale ends in the town of Mapleton erupting into a riot and basically burning down the Guilty Remnant compound and starting a bonfire in the center of the cul-de-sac.
Everybody's throwing all the dolls.
All the dolls and
fire.
like they're throwing like beds in there and just all kinds of whatever debris.
Just having a big bonfire.
Yeah,
it's a good time.
They're throwing their Thanksgiving leftovers in that pile.
Yeah. It's like May at this point.
Mm-hmm. So there's something just started sticking out at me as I watched the first season again, and there's a recurring imagery of fire, flames.
Yeah.
The orange stuff that comes through a chemical reaction that burns.
Flame hot.
Flame hot.
Flame hot.
You know flame.
Yeah, I know flame. Flame give heat.
Flame is fucking hot, man.
Flame give light.
Anyway, I went through all 10 episodes, 9 episodes leading up to the big fiery finale. And there's imagery of fire. I can go through each episode briefly and tell you what
Let's
I
do
discovered.
it. Yeah,
okay.
I think it's appropriate that your little mic cover is orange. It's flame colored.
It's all part of the plan.
Flame
man.
orange.
Episode 1, the pilot. At the most epic party ever, a teenager burns his forearm with a fork. His forearm with a fork. Episode 2, Kevin has a dream where he ends up in a fire pit. Episode 3, Matt's dream of his house burning down and then his hands catching fire.
Oh, I forgot about that. Wow.
Episode 4, Jill with a flaming Nerf gun as she attempts the Viking funeral of the baby Jesus.
Very unrealistic.
Right.
I was watching that and I was like, there's no way that, like, by the time she is going to shoot that thing, it's not going to go anywhere.
Right. Unless they set up she was like an archery master,
That was the whole thing they cut.
Right.
Jill's archery.
Another
story.
Archery classes.
Yeah.
Episode 5, Gladys's body burns at the ATFEC facility as it goes into that incinerator. Episode 6, Guest. Nora picks up, or she manufactures orange legacy stickers for her ID badge. Each orange sticker representing a family member who she lost.
Yeah.
Orange sticker. Episode 7, they allude to the fact that Kevin Sr. burned down the library. Episode 8.
Yes, counsel, continue.
Yeah. There's 2 here.
Yeah.
Patty does recite that poem that we heard, which is by Yeats, and it is called...
Is it Yeats or Yates?
It's Yeats or Yeats, W.B. Yeats.
Okay.
The title of the poem is Michael Robarts Bids His Beloved Be at Peace. And there is a part of the poem that ends with, the South is pouring down roses of crimson fire.
Wow.
That's the first instance in episode 8. The second instance is when Kevin's making dinner before Nora shows up.
Yeah.
He's cutting up pieces of Swiss chard. Swiss chard.
Wow.
Chard.
I didn't catch that.
Episode 9, the fiery exploding manhole cover right before the departure.
Yes. Kevin's out for a jog, and then the
just a deserted road that's surprisingly like well paved. Anyway, so that fiery manhole cover explodes.
Right.
And then episode 10, obviously, all the houses go fire, burn, burn, hot.
Fire go hot.
Hot, burn, burn.
Hot burn burn.
Hot, ouch.
Ooh. Ouch. Wow. Yeah,
So
that
was
is
just
a lot.
something I noticed.
What do you
Whether
think
it's
that-
intentional or just the result of my mind, my practically autistic mind making connections, I don't know what it is.
Yeah. No, I mean, I feel like there's enough of it that it makes sense that there's symbolism. And it could even just be simply like, well, this is where the show ends. It ends with fire.
Right. Let's lay
So it's like
throughout
a
the
very
season.
subtle.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. There's the stuff with the babies too. Like I
lot of
marked
babies
down
in the
all
show.
the infant imagery. It was yeah, go ahead.
The season begins and ends with babies. I
Yes.
mean, the baby Sam outside the laundromat crying, and then
Lori's baby disappears. Or her
Baby.
unborn child vanishes.
baby Jesus
yep,
doll.
exactly.
We see them being manufactured in that warehouse. So like
Yeah.
a couple hundred baby dolls probably.
Which is like very interesting with the it's like, I don't know, it's very important to the town, or at least it seems to be important to Jill for some reason.
The mayor's like, obviously the fucking white one. You know?
Yes, yeah, but yeah, it's like, it's also, it's reduced to kind of a just like, oh well, there's a bunch of them, just go to the fucking store and buy another one. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, there's meaning behind it, but it's also, it's like, oh well, no, it's just this piece of plastic.
Right. The fact that they opened the episode with like this whole montage of how the plastic molds being made.
Right.
And, yeah.
Yeah, and then-
It's almost like the manufactured religion, like these new religions like Holy Wayne and the Guilty Remnant. We're just making this shit up as we go along, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's no like just like the things just come from God and the heavens above. It's just like we had to make this stuff.
We're manufacturing our own meaning
our own
into
meaning.
life. Yeah. So what is that? Yeah. So what do you think the fire, like, I mean, you think about fire, it's purifying.
Yeah.
It's dangerous, but also gives you
It's
heat
after it burns down, it kind of literally it offers like it's cathartic, and
Yeah.
there's ashes to be reborn at. There's that famous parallel about phoenixes rising from the ashes,
Right.
And we see at the end of season 1, like, yes, Nora's packed her bag, she's kind of ready for a new start.
right.
They go into that in season 2. We won't talk about too much what happens there, but
And Mapleton seems like, because we never go back to Mapleton. This is the end of Mapleton as far as the show goes, because
pretty
everybody
much,
moves.
yeah.
So like, do you think that Mapleton, after this like catharsis that they obviously, this is 3 years building to this, where the town is slowly like just ready to explode as they there's another more imagery.
Yeah, oh, ready
They're
to
ready
explode.
to fucking explode.
Explode.
That, do you think Mapleton is better now for this, or do you think they're just like in shambles where like everybody just leaves because we can't even be here anymore? Because it's such an intense thing for the ending where it's like, yeah, we're taking all of the departed, making them into dolls, and we're what I want to talk about,
Just kind of shoving your
these dolls.
loss in your face.
Yeah, it's like, did this cathartic thing, do you think it was a healing thing, or do you think it was like, no, we've burned this down and now there's no going back?
I mean, it was almost like kind of like, remember he's talking to that one ATFIC agent over the phone, Agent Sean Kalani, about like having guys come in and just like basically wipe out the Guilty Remnant. Like, like
Yes.
Kevin orders that to happen. He was telling, hey, Chief, this could happen. You just say the word.
Yeah,
But
essentially
but-
sends a militia just to shoot everybody.
Right, yeah. But here it's like they kind of do it to themselves. Like they kind of had to know what a response this would would evoke after.
They're really proactive town.
Yeah,
we'll
exactly.
handle it. Yeah.
I mean, we saw in the pilot, like, they just show up and just have some signs like "Stop wasting your breath," and like the whole town goes.
They just go and just beat the shit out of them. Yeah.
It's funny because in the book they didn't. It was the exact opposite. In the book, it's like a lot more like kind of low key and just like people are like, oh, the guilty remnant. They're just around, but they're not bothering anybody. And like literally, like, the part of the book is like they show up at the Heroes' Day. And Nora's talking. She's just doing the speech she does like in the show, and people start just booing the guilty remnant. He's like, "Oh, they're not hurting anybody. Leave them alone." And then they just walk. The remnant just walks back into the woods and just away. There's no riot in the book, but
this is TV.
This is TV. We need some good B-roll for the promos just to get people watch.
Most of the promos were from that first episode.
Pretty much, yeah.
I remember they always showed the sign thing, and then I was like, they all like blew it all in the first episode. 'Cause it was like, I don't know.
That and like Tom screaming and like Jill like miming like a hangman's noose around her neck and just yanking it.
And then Kevin, I think there were shots of when he's in that flashback episode, and like the deer, he's in the hallway, and that deer is like in the house. I don't know. Speaking of imagery, well, okay, so you have the fire, purifying, like whatever. So I think Mapleton may be recovered. I think after that, probably. Maybe like they got it all out of their system.
There's definitely like a version of the show where like they didn't leave Mapleton at the end of season 1 or at beginning of season 2, and like it's just like the continued adventures of Kevin Garvey against the guilty remnant, week to week. Just kidding.
It's make sure to stay for the post-credit scene of Ann Dowd smiling at the screen.
Right.
I'll do it myself.
So Patty Levin is the Thanos of the leftovers the LCU.
Well, is the Snap. I mean, we all know that if all true leftovers nerds know that this takes place in the MCU.
Yeah, there actually are some very good videos. People edited like the Max Richter score into like the Endgame movie or the one.
I thought about that.
Yeah, it's fun. We love to mix and match our culture. Playing little DJs with their programs and our stories.
Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah, it's
a good time.
What else we gotta do? Yeah.
Every day is just a struggle to get up sometimes. Anyway, the
leftovers.
I wanted to go through the deer imagery.
The deer.
I think let's stick with imagery for now. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what else is there past the deer, but let's cover that. Like, there's lots of deer.
A lot of deer.
Which I thought was interesting because I didn't write them down, but so this is just from memory. Is that he sees a deer in the pilot?
Yeah,
and then the dogs attack it, right?
Right. He sees it like briefly outside the woman whose dog that was shot in the first scene,
right? And
like he thinks it's just like a what do you call it, like a stuffed animal?
Yeah, that's what I thought it was too.
Yeah, because it is probably. Yeah, and that shot, but then he leaves the house and it's gone.
Okay. And then one breaks into his house.
Right.
Fucks up his kitchen.
Just kind of brushed off. It was just like, oh yeah, deer broke in.
Yeah. And then he keeps having these nightmares of where there's some kind of monster behind a door. You don't really know what it is, I guess. But then you find out in the flashback episode, there's that deer that's like lost its mind and breaking into people's houses and just like fucking things up, which is insane to me because I don't think of deer as like a threat. But this thing is, you don't even see it. There isn't even a direct camera shot of it, even when it's like hit by that car.
Right.
But when he's in, they're in that couple, but they have the autistic son. And then he goes upstairs, and they're like, "Oh, it's upstairs in the room," and like it's just like fucking going nuts, and the door is just rattling. And you realize that like all these like dreams he's having are just like this deer that clearly affected him because I think he like the deer represented like the insanity of like like losing your mind in this, or like it be like I feel like Kevin relates a lot to the deer, which is why he doesn't want to kill it.
Yeah, that's even Laurie brings it up. It's like, oh, it's trapped. Better go
save it.
Better go save it.
Yeah.
There's even a shot of the deer right after it gets hit by the car, where the camera's behind the antlers. The antlers are filling the frame, and they're kind of obscuring Kevin a bit. It's like one very quick shot, but it's almost like the antlers are like the prison that he feels like he's in with his family and
right. Yeah. Which had he and then of course the woman who hits the car he sleeps with, and then while they're having sex she departs, which is insane.
That's actually, I was going to bring up two parts about the pilot script, and that's actually in the second draft of the pilot script. That is the very first scene of Kevin and the woman having sex, and then she vanishes during the act.
Wow.
So like that's how they wanted to open up the show, but then I guess they kind of scaled that idea back with So,
which is surprising because HBO will take any opportunity to.
I mean, this is like Pilot 101, like open on sex. Like, look, it's like literally says, "We are in darkness, and from the silence beneath it, we begin to hear something. A man grunting, fierce and primitive. It sounds like, underlined all caps, sex." So
smash up on man's back with horrible tattoo.
I mean, if you got an HBO deal, it's like, why not?
Hey, you gotta. There's a whole side budget for that.
But bringing up just one last thing about the deers. Also,
let's go into it. Yeah.
Also in the pilot script is there's a dream sequence in the actual pilot we watched, like where he's driving the car and I think he hits a deer and then he like goes up and talks to it.
Yeah, and it's making that horrible noise.
Yeah. In the pilot, there's actually an extended dream sequence where Kevin's driving along. He hits a speed bump. He gets out of his car and revealed that we're like in the middle of the desert. His car's like got stuck on a sand dune, and he gets out of his car and he sees a deer like backlit by the moon, and there's a man beside it, a naked man, and there's a woman riding the animal, and then the naked man yells at him in Spanish, "Usted es el profeta," which means you are the prophet. El gamo a elegido, which is the fallow deer has chosen you. So they were a little upfront about like, yeah, Kevin's a prophet. He's hearing voices from God. And so, but then they decided, I guess just for budget reasons or just maybe just conceptual, they're like, let's just nix that. Maybe we're kind of showing our hand a little too soon.
Yeah. Because they don't get into that until later. Like,
right.
With the prophet stuff. Like, I feel like it organically lead into this is the voices that Kevin Garvey Sr. is hearing. And you kind of, I don't know, there's that whole pull between, fear, I guess, from Kevin Sr. and Kevin Jr. Like, Kevin Jr. is afraid that he's going to go crazy like his father. And that's when he starts having the blackouts. The blackouts are really interesting because I guess you don't really realize until Cairo, episode 8, that how frequent they're happening. And they're escalating. So it's like all this stuff where it's like he just like is losing time.
I mean, even like in the second episode, I think you see like the bedside table, and there's like 8 or 9 like prescription bottles full of pills.
Yeah. I wonder if that's what it is. It's like because the first episode is when Michael Gaston, Dean shows up and he's like shooting all the dogs.
Right.
And yeah, so it's like that's when I feel like he kind of. It's interesting he gives in at the end of that episode because he refuses to believe it. He's like, stop shooting our fucking dogs.
Right.
But then when he sees the pack of dogs that's rumored to exist exists and then just tears apart the deer is when he just like starts blowing them away.
I mean, in that last scene of the pilot, he's basically like transferring all of his frustration and impotence and anger into those dogs. Like, you know, his wife has left him, his son's who knows where, his daughters doesn't have a great relationship with her.
It's all about control.
His town's falling apart.
He can't control anything. Yeah.
And so it's just like he's got this one instance of just like control, and it just the guy puts you got a gun. What are you waiting for? They aren't our dogs anymore. And he's just to unload a clip into like a pack of dogs.
Yeah,
and,
which is also like good pilot imagery.
Right. That's just that's also how you capture an audience from the get go. You know.
Yeah.
People love seeing dogs shot to death.
Yeah, I tweeted this yesterday and nobody liked it as usual. But I was just like, when you go to doesthedogdie.com and type in the Leftovers HBO, Michael Gaston walks into your house and shoots you with a hunting rifle. It's like it's so insane. Like just right from the get go. I said in the previous episode that episode 3, Matt's episode where he loses the church was like that was the one that gripped me emotionally, but. There's nothing more enticing than seeing Justin Theroux just shoot a bunch of dogs off camera.
Crying while he's shooting.
Yeah.
And then the song kicks in. It's literally called Are You Satisfied?
Yeah.
So
I'm surprised it wasn't like, who let the dogs out? Because that's about as like on the nose as take me to church. You know, like it's so fucking... But yeah, so the dog stuff, they kind of explain... I just want to touch on this briefly because it's very interesting to me how... all the dogs at the departure went nuts or they just ran away.
Yeah.
And now they're just feral. It's like, and I think the twins, Max and Charlie, I don't know if they mention it, but the kids, they're like talking about like, I think this is when they find the dead dog.
Oh, right. They're like, the dogs, they saw what happened. They just snapped. They just went primal.
Right.
The same thing's going to happen to us. It's just taking longer.
Yes. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
It's like, we're more like, I don't know, just our brains work differently where it's like, yeah. And it is by the end of the season, everybody's kind of
AWOL Primal, yeah.
Yeah.
It's another,
building a giant fire,
yeah.
throwing things in it. Like, just like almost, very.
Yeah. The woman in the pilot from the laundry, she's got a gun. She's just like shooting at someone, you know. And,
yes, yeah. And Kevin and Matt pull up after they finish burying Patty.
Yes, and, you do. They had a cheeseburger first.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Matt was digging into that cheeseburger. And then they... If you and I buried a body, I mean, I would definitely stop for. That's exhausting.
I mean, it's a lot of work.
You got to dig way deeper than you think you got to dig.
Lugging, it's just dead meat you got to carry around.
Meat, yeah,
and you got to say some like very on the nose Bible.
I'm gonna play a clip of that.
Oh, I love that clip.
That. Yeah,
some Job, Book of Job.
Book of Job. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Yep. And then yes. So the dogs. Yeah. But then at the end, after everybody freaks out, that one dog that Kevin, during one of his blackouts, relating back to the blackouts, took the dog and he bet Dean, which you find out like Kevin doesn't remember any of this. He bets him $1. He's like, if I can tame this dog,
right,
you can't kill any more of them or whatever like that. And if
it was a little strange. I mean, that
the dog just switched.
Yeah,
like, what was strange?
Or he just, I mean.
The whole Dean thing?
The whole Dean thing was very, like, kind of off. It just kind of kept you on your toes and just, like, is he seeing this guy? But then, like, oh, no, he's real. People are saying hello
Jill
to him.
Sees him. She's like, who are you
Jill
talking
sees him.
to?
The animal control guy sees him. But still the fact that he is, like, kind of almost a ghost where, like, he's not in the system anywhere. He just finally was just like, I'll just leave my truck in your driveway. Have my truck.
Yep,
Take my truck, please.
Yeah, I want to know more about him, but also love that we don't.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know if it's, like... Because dogs feed off of your energy and your emotions. So it's like if you're anxious, you're going to make the dog anxious.
I see.
So do you think town-wide, just because everybody basically is unraveling because of the departure, that like that energy transferred to the dogs, and the dogs were like, we can't even handle this, we're like out of here? Because then it seemed like that would make sense if after the cleansing at the end, the dog is like, oh, you're feeling better? I'm feel better now.
Yeah, because what are the odds of, like, it's like, oh, the dogs, they saw what happened. Really? Every dog in this pack, they saw someone disappear, you know? No. Unless they just felt something in the general air, like just in the
profound existential dread.
Yeah. The manhole covers exploding, you know? Yeah. That's what kind of got them to flip out.
And the deer's flipping out, too. I don't know if that was like... I feel like there's all these like little events in that episode that are leading up to the
I don't know if they go into this later on season, but just like, did any animals apart? I don't think so. It's just human beings. Human beings with all their clothes on, obviously. You know, they just leave like piles of like jeans and Reeboks. You know, so.
Which let me write that down because I do want to talk about. Oh no, we're not talking about later seasons.
Yeah, let's not.
I kind of want to get into the alternate universe thing, but anyway. So the blackout thing is weird, and then so you kind of episode Cairo is like so good, and I guess I'll play the clip shortly. Is the from the Book of Job when they are burying Patty
Levin.
And let me just make a note. I'll just put it in here. Actually, all right, let's listen to the clip now, and we'll come right back.
If I go to the east, he is not there. If I go to the west, I do not find him. When he is at work in the north, I do not see him. When he turns to the south, I catch no glimpse of him. But he knows the way that I take. When he has tested me, I will come forth as gold. My feet have closely followed his steps. I have kept to his way without turning aside. I have not departed. Not departed from the commandment of his lips. I have treasured the words of his mouth more than my daily bread. But he stands alone, and who can oppose him? He does whatever he pleases. He carries out his decree against me, and many such plans he still has in store. That is why I am terrified before him. When I think of all this, I fear him. God has made my heart faint. The Almighty has terrified me. that I am not silenced by the darkness, by the thick darkness that covers my face.
Okay, yeah, and that is one of my favorite moments of the entire series.
Just stunning acting. How like Justin Theroux starts out like kind of like, man, I'm not gonna read your fucking Bible quote, and then he starts reading it and he just starts breaking down, crying. There's, a lot of it's just kind of resonating with him.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah,
and it has the word "departed" in it. So
it does.
It's like what happened on the show. People departed.
God, I see. So I grew up Catholic.
Oh yeah.
I'm not Catholic anymore. I don't believe. Like I don't know. I guess I'd be more. If I had to say it, I feel like we have to get into the faith thing.
Yeah, why
just
not?
Because it's very heavy in the show. I guess I'm more agnostic, where it's like I really want there to be something.
Yeah.
And I feel like there maybe is like an energy, like maybe I do, but deep down I do believe that death is probably just the end, and then there's just nothing. And whether to be scared of that or not be scared of that is just a struggle that I go back and forth with. Because I don't know, but yeah, that's how I personally feel. But growing up Catholic and then having just the show affected me because it's like there really is no, I don't know. It's just like it's very brutal. And then him reciting this passage, and it's like at the end when he's just like, God has made my heart faint. The Almighty has terrified me. Just like, oh yeah, he does whatever he pleases. And it's just, I have a lot of anger from my like religion growing up. So just to be like, just like that, just like why, like if this is,
I'm going in all these directions. He's not there.
Yeah,
you know?
It's just like and I had those moments growing up where I was just like I think it was the moments I started questioning that, and I was just like, well, then fucking show me something. And it's like I got nothing, and I had multiple occasions where it's like, why should I believe this?
Right.
And then I just like lost it. But that speech just really connected with me, which is funny because it is a biblical passage, and it's like, and the whole thing with Job, where it's just like all about suffering for
and that's basically the
nothing,
Matt character in a nutshell as well.
Oh my God, yeah. And it makes sense that Matt highlights
He's got highlight. He's got like little cliff. He's got those little stickies, and
Matt's like, I feel like Matt would make. He's like the kind of person like who would just like make you a mixtape of all of his favorite songs.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like where it's like, oh yeah, no, it's like get into what I'm into, and he's very very I can't think of the word. But just going around rubbing things in people's faces.
Yeah, he gives me a mixtape. I was like, here's like a sack of $5,000 from the casino.
Yeah. But yeah, so they bury Patty, and and the blackouts thing, and then there's a moment. I think what I was trying to get to was we can talk more Book of Job and stuff. But when Dean walks out after Kevin refuses to kill her, like they put that plastic bag on his head.
Right.
There's a moment where Dean is talking to somebody who's not there. Did you catch that?
Yeah, exactly. He's like, kind of looking off. I tried. Yeah. So
it's like the whole series.
Hearing the same voices that Kevin Sr.'s hearing.
Yes.
Kind of like looking at like the prophet angle, maybe.
Right. And then there's that dream where Patty comes back.
All right. Yeah. So we're gonna be traveling companions, and
which is like ends up. Not to get into the other seasons.
Yeah, she's not gone from the show after this season.
But yeah, I don't know. How did you feel watching this show with like your background?
I mean, I don't have much of a religious background.
Okay.
Like personally, I was not raised any kind of like religious. We never went to any kind of institution. My dad's side is Jewish. My mom's side's Christian, so we did Hanukkah and Christmas every year. But nothing.
It's kind of lax.
Yeah, really lax. Just, honestly, if anything, like my parents kind of adopted more like a kind of more Eastern Buddhist philosophies for things. Like my dad had like a meditation room in the basement that he meditated in a lot, and all kinds of like imagery from like China, and he taught Tai Chi. So, me personally, I never really had a place for it. Maybe like the first like kind of anger I felt like when my dog died, it was just like, yeah, wow, I gotta let this happen. But it's just one of those things. I was like 13 and I was having those like stupid dorm room thoughts.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Dorm room thoughts, yeah. But yeah, we just didn't really. We did the holidays as like a social excuse, just to kind of see family members.
Yeah,
so
that's what it's all.
That's really what
about.
It is. Yeah. When people get into like saying you can't marry that person or you have to like have that pregnancy, it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah, right.
We're all trying to get through. We're all trying to get through the day.
Yeah.
You know, we don't need people telling us how to live.
Yeah,
unless
exactly.
it's like indirectly impinging on how you live.
Right.
But
Yeah, I agree.
so religion was never an aspect of this show for me. I almost, I mean, I have not read the Bible cover to cover.
Right.
So a lot of just kind of picked it up through like, you know, E.T. is like the Jesus story. Like, okay, I get it. I get what happened. You know, he dies and he comes back and people feel better about it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. Like all the Book of Job stuff and like Matt just suffering.
That's just good drama, you know.
Yeah, it is good drama.
You get your main characters up a tree and then you throw rocks at them.
Yeah.
Or you tie them to a tree and throw rocks at them.
Right. Yeah. Whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So I just wanted to like cover that.
Okay.
That scene. I thought it was interesting that Dean also is hearing voices, and then Kevin's blackouts are interesting because you don't. The episode or season 1 ends when you're not really totally sure if he is losing his mind and like is he hearing voices or is he just sleepwalking? It's very ambiguous because you know he kidnapped Patty.
Yeah, and just has no memory of it whatsoever. Well, he just has some flashbacks to it, but
Yeah. Well, even that time where he's like, "Oh, what do you remember?" He's like, "I remember getting into bed," and he's like, "Can you tell me you were fucking sleepwalking?" And it's like, and then he tells him like kind of offhand, just like all these other conversations that he's had with him. I don't know.
So let me ask you this: obviously, we're fans of culture, and as fans of culture, we have to rank things by did we like it or not like it.
Yeah.
So do you
Thumbs
want
up or thumbs down?
Thumbs up or thumbs down. We have to have binary decisions on everything. So
Yes.
Do you have a favorite episode of season 1?
It's hard. I love episode 3, Matt's episode. I think after rewatching it, I don't know. Like it's hard for me to pick because like the convention episode, like Nora's episode, is fantastic.
Yeah.
I think I'd have to just break it down not by episode but by moments.
Okay.
Which was like episode 3 is super solid. That's what like pulled me into the show. But I think just there's the speech, the acting moments where Kevin is like reciting that. But then I would have to say episode 10, it's brilliant and it's like that might be my favorite because everything's completely off the rails by this point, but it's so earned.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
And-
they're just kind of like just setting up all these. They're blossoming all these plants that they planted.
Yeah, they blossom all the plants they planted.
Bad metaphor.
Yeah, no. All the things all the seed is coming to
They're
fruition.
paying all. Yeah,
whatever
they
we
set
say.
the table, and now the meal is served.
Yeah.
So
The moment where I think they set up all of these dolls.
yeah, the real
which
dolls
are weird because they're very posable. There's one of them that's just like
he's
pushing
just,
a shopping cart.
He's in the middle of the parking lot. So they got rid of that scene where they had a guilty remnant using like a nail gun to kind of just like get like attach.
Oh,
his
was that a
feet.
scene?
It was probably a scene. Yeah, yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was on the Blu-ray.
Oh yeah, it was on the Blu-ray. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah.
That's also where they had the scene of him going to Staples and just buying like a metric ton of printer ink.
Right. Yeah.
Matt Jameson going to Staples.
Yeah. It's a whole like half-hour scene.
Yeah.
Tarantino-esque scene at a Kinko's.
Right.
In the moment where Nora walks in and sees her family sitting, that's not her family, but like it's rewatching that, it was like that is one of the most terrifying things I could think of, like coming downstairs and then those fucking dolls, because there's that uncanny valley thing where it's them but it's not them.
Right. But the hair's kind of there, and
Yeah.
they're wearing similar clothes since they have the photos of them. So
Yes. And think about like the thought process of like if I were to come down here and like descend my stairs and then there's like, first of all, there's somebody there and it's like, holy shit.
Right.
Okay, there's that. And then, oh my God, it's my family that's departed 3 years ago. They're back. And then the third thought is, wait a minute, that's not them. Wait, how did they get there? Somebody is somebody in the house?
It's like a double
And it's like-
violation of like just your privacy, your personal space, but also just like your emotional space.
Yeah.
So
And the way Carrie Coon carries that performance is like the music drops out and there's just that weird like tone. That almost tinnitus. Like,
that ringing in the ear. Yeah, we don't even hear her scream at all. We don't need to.
No, you don't need to. And her just... Yeah, that really, like, I get goosebumps talking about it. That was probably one of my favorite moments. And then that's in the last episode. And then I forget what else happens. There's Matt and Kevin have that cheeseburger.
Yeah. Oh, he runs into Holy Wayne in the bathroom.
Oh, Holy Wayne. Yes,
Yeah.
the death scene.
Yeah, he makes the wish, and they never explicitly say it, but like you get the idea, like he wants either his family to come back or be reunited, and he kind of gets his wish in a way, a new family. But
yeah, I'd have to say, last episode has a lot of payoff moments that aren't just like don't feel like fan service; they all just feel earned. And I'd have to say, episode 3 and the last episode are probably like the best. But as season as a whole, it's hard for me to dissect it and like pick a fave episode. What do you think?
I'd say episode 6 Guest is like that's. I was a huge fan of episode 3, obviously, but I mean, I was gonna watch the season throughout, no matter what happened, probably. But Guest was like, it just in terms of like setting things up and paying them off, like it literally it ends and begins the same place, like just like showing how a character has changed. Oh, here's in the beginning we see her stalking her ex-husband's ex-lover at the preschool, buying the same groceries, staring at an empty paper towel tube, and then like ends with just like her somehow as she missed her later, she took a shortcut, but still like she's moving on in a way.
Yeah, Holy Wayne takes her pain away.
That smile she gives the cashier at like she's like just buying like yogurt and like cereal for her sell healthy cereal. Yeah. There's just something about that smile.
Not her kid's cereal.
It just shakes me to my core.
Yeah, it's a great episode.
And it's just like the whole dramatic arc, like the fact that like she's hung up on her identity as Nora Durst. Like, even the judge asked, like, do you want to change your name go back to your maiden name? No, I want to stay Nora Durst. And then she goes to the convention and someone stole her ID badge, so she has to keep saying I'm Nora Durst. And it's just this whole idea of playing with identity was just fascinating because it working on like so many different levels.
Oh yeah.
And then also episode that was the first episode I believe that we actually left Mapleton and saw we went to New York City and we saw more aspects of how people are reacting to the departure. We saw that throng of people she goes through, and there's like
it's a bunch of different.
There's Guilty Remnant, obviously. There's probably some Holy Wayners in there, but also there's like a guy dressed up as the Pope. And he has like a website, the Pope lives, because like the Catholic Church probably had to like they had like oh well if this was the rapture the Pope had to be raptured, but like he probably didn't, so he's got like locked up somewhere. So
he's in the basement of the Vatican. They won't say.
Right. So that was just fun seeing all those conspiracy theories.
I love seeing like the little tastes of stuff outside Mapleton. Like we talked about it a couple days ago, but like just to go back to the Florida thing real quick.
Yeah, Florida,
is when he's on the phone with
Agent Sean Kalani.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, you watching this shit going on in Florida right now? It's fucked up or whatever." And Kevin's like, "No, I haven't watched the news," and they never cover it.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming Florida's just on fire.
Right. Yeah. Or just or just some as like that one agent said, just another asshole thought he was God. Just rose up and like they just had this attitude like just take him down.
Right. Yeah.
Which was that's where they introduced. I think it was in the last episode, in the second episode, the ATF, FEC, which basically was really kind of a strange role. Like, when 9/11, back to 9/11, 9/11 happened, we started Homeland Security, all these different new government agencies. But when the departure happens in this world, we just give extra work to the ATF. Like, oh yeah, you guys are dealing with the cults now, basically.
Yeah.
And the explosions. So.
All of our military's in the Middle East holding things together.
Right.
Or not. Yeah, we'll give it to this department.
Yeah, and add 2 more letters for all their jackets. There's like, here, just stitch more letters in the back of this ATF jacket.
Well, you keep people busy or creating jobs.
Yeah. Well, they did lose a lot of people.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so episode 6, just her going like I always love episodes that just kind of like keep following people going like after parties, and like she's like goes to
on a bender.
On a bender with those people.
Well, that's when you see the reveal of the dolls.
The real, yeah.
She meets
we briefly saw them in the episode 4, like that was on the side of the highway that the bus crashed.
When that dream comes true.
Yeah, but here we kind of got a better idea what they're all about. And,
right. That's a great episode. I love that episode.
Yeah, just her whole performance, the fact that it, there's actually an interesting visual correlation with the third episode as well. We're dealing with the siblings, Nora and Matt, and each teaser, the segment of episode before the title sequence, ends with both siblings on their back and basically exhaling or taking an inhalation of breath as they're either kicked to shit in their ribs by like that guy whose daughter was selling drugs, or like just waking up, like catching her breath from getting shot in the chest, from a bullet. So I just found this kind of interesting visual symmetry going on there. So for those 2 amazing episodes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, everybody relating to that. I feel like Matt and Kevin are having a contest of who can like be on screen with like the most bruises and cuts. Like they're always both just getting the shit kicked out of each other. Yeah.
Yeah. The one guy says to Matt Jameson, "I think I know what happened to your face."
Yeah. Cool.
Okay,
yeah, I agree. Yeah, I love that episode.
Yeah, so obviously, and they definitely double down on this way of structuring episodes, and in the following seasons, just having these hyper focused. Let's deal with this character all at the whole entire hour, or like these two kind of connected characters the entire hour, instead of just like checking in on everyone A, B, C, D storylines, which is kind of played out at this point. So
I agree. Was it that episode where they go up? The guy, like Nora's boss, talks to her about how there's that one question.
Yeah, that question 121, where she asked, "Do you think The Departed is in a better place?"
Yeah, and she says she's like, "I answered yes to all three of them."
Mm-hmm. But then, like after she kind of has this moment of catharsis with Holy Wayne, and she kind of tries to let go of her pain, and then people start answering negatively to that question. So something's changed.
Yeah. It's the whole questionnaire is like very interesting. It's obviously like a bullshit insurance thing, and I think does somebody say like it's like a throwaway thing where it's like they're not going to get the money.
Oh, it's the woman who's posing as Nora Durst at the conference.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
she's like, I wrote it down. She's got this conspiracy theory about Israel who's experimenting with a plasma ray that can incinerate all human matter without a trace. And she's like, oh, yeah, the questionnaires, they're sent to a processing center in Virginia, and they're burnt up, and it's just like a cover for this
plasma ray.
Yeah, a plasma ray, just like some guy with a ray just shooting people.
I mean, at this point, anything's on the table. Mm-hmm. That's how like unhinged everybody's become.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, even in our relatively calm times, we're still just like all kinds of conspiracy theories about pizza places and
people latching on to that. Yeah. Just whoever's the loudest, people just tend to.
Mm-hmm. Though Jeffrey Epstein was probably killed by somebody.
Oh no, he killed himself.
Probably killed himself.
He killed himself from the guilt.
Yeah.
Nobody could have gotten in there.
First, he took out those two cameras in the hallway. Yeah, and then he requested, let's have some guards who aren't actually guards.
That happens sometimes. It's normal.
It's normal.
That's normal. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
One other thing. Look at my notes here. Mm-hmm. I did want to talk a little bit. We touched a little bit on the Gladys episode.
Wait, we finished on best. We did the best episode. We talked about the worst episode.
Oh yeah, let's talk about the worst episode. Okay. Good idea. You go ahead and start.
I would say the worst episode is the flashback episode, the 9th episode.
Really? Yeah. Okay, I want to hear this take.
It's not necessary. What it did was like it kind of just made the town. It was already a small town, but it kind of made it feel smaller. Where like everyone's already kind of friends before The Departed. Patty was Laurie's patient.
Yes.
Gladys was given. She. What do you call it? Rescuing dogs and giving them for adoption. They were playing a lot more of the deer imagery, which was, I think, after the first episode, a little played out. And
at that time on television, we talked about this. Yeah. It was like
a lot of deers. Yeah, it was like True Detective and Hannibal both had like prominent deer imagery.
And it's all just like these men.
Yeah, just men,
seeing deer.
Just seeing conflicted men looking at deer.
Yeah. Very big trope.
Yeah, but the biggest sin of the 9th episode, I believe, is the fact that it did give us the first couple scenes of Laurie talking, and which I feel did undercut that final scream in the finale of her yelling her daughter's name as the house is burning behind her, Jill.
Yeah.
And I feel like that moment would have been immensely more powerful if we didn't have that hour before just kind of have everyone going about their lives on October 13th.
So, right. That's interesting.
So, I mean, it's not to say it's a terribly produced or written episode. There's a lot going on there.
I feel like it kind of takes away.
It just takes away, and like, I don't know. I mean, you don't open the show with that episode, but you don't put it in like season 2 either. So it's, I don't know either. I don't know. I just, for those reasons alone, I just was not looking back on it now. I could have done without. I almost experimented with watching with just skipping the episode altogether, but that just
really?
wasn't how it wasn't how it was meant to be watched.
I couldn't remember how much I hated it.
Yeah.
For one, I love that episode.
Yeah.
I really like it.
Okay.
I like all the creepy stuff. I would agree with you that there are some stuff that it takes away from.
Yeah. Like they have that false departure where Kevin's outside like the school and all the kids run out screaming like, oh, did it happen already? Is that why they're screaming?
It's just the deer.
But no, it's just the deer.
Well, yeah, it's a fake out.
It's a fake out.
Because it starts, the flashback is actually, you think it's going to be the day of and it's the day before. Yeah, no, I love the, what is it? Oh, God. Oh, the little clues that there are, because there's the deer. There's the sewer line exploding.
Oh, and right before then, the car full of women who ask Kevin, "Are you ready?" And they're all, and he's wearing a white shirt.
Yes.
So it's implied like are they part of like an early faction of the Guilty Remnant that knew it was going to happen?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It kind of sets up all these questions that aren't really needed.
Not really.
And it's almost like a conspiracy thing because it's like, well, why did this happen? Do they know what happened?
Did they just feel it in the univerce? But like he's he's smoking, he's wearing a white T-shirt.
Yeah,
but
I thought of that too. Yeah, and he's in the gray sweatpants. Lori's calendar that day or the day before says the foot feels the foot when it feels the ground.
Yeah,
thought that was interesting, and she has this like moment where she's like, what the hell does that mean? But yeah,
things are kind of unhinged. Like Kevin's coffee mug, it says like "My Hero." It starts leaking.
Yes,
you know? So
it's a,
he's got the crack in the foundation.
A lot of heavy-handed, imagery. I don't know. I just liked seeing what happened that morning. Like, I guess that could have just been done in flashbacks.
It was a very powerful moment where we saw, especially like with Nora and her family, and then Kevin and his the girl on the way to a conference. She was on her way to a conference. Nora Durst went to a conference. That's probably just a dumb coincidence.
Oh, okay, interesting, huh? Yeah.
The fact that his next lover went to a conference.
Yeah.
That's just a connection my brain's making.
I'm trying to think of. For me, I don't know if it's. The pilot's good, but it's also like I feel like it's the weakest because it's just moments where it's like they're just trying to reel people in, but I can't really fault it because it's like it's a pilot.
Pilots are always a little sweaty, and
I've also seen that one the most because I've tried to rewatch the show before.
Oh, okay.
And I always like start from the beginning, or I try to get a friend to watch it, and like we start from the beginning, and then we never finish it. So I feel like I've watched like the 6 Feet Under pilot I've seen 50 times, and like I could never see that again and be happy.
You're just going to friends who have like 10 dogs in their living room, like, let's watch The Leftovers.
Yeah.
Why don't you guys like this show?
It's like it's depressing. I can't watch it. I had a friend who I was trying to get to rewatch 6 Feet Under with me, and he was just like, I can't watch this anymore. If we do, it has to be like on a sunny Sunday afternoon like it is today.
Yeah.
To where it's like, because it's so fucking bleak. But for me, it's like, I love that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's also funny.
Yeah, a lot of funny parts. Yeah.
I would say like least favorite, if I had to break it up again into moments, was definitely, we've talked about like the Holy Wayne, like Tommy storyline was kind of weak. I don't know. When Tommy sees people jumping off of the building, they never address that again.
I mean, it's implied that like, I think that's why he dropped out of college. Like he just like a couple kids just jumped off a building one day.
I connected it in my head that it was happening in that flashback episode, so I kept waiting for him to go back to it.
Right. Yeah. There was also another weird flashback in the pilot of when Laurie first wakes up. She has a vision of her like fighting another girl, like I guess a younger version of herself, fighting a girl at some school. Yeah. And that was it. That's how they really deal with it. So they could have just been some ideas they hoped to pay off, and then just never really found an opportunity to.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think it would probably just be the pilot, and then the Tommy storyline was kind of weak.
A common criticism I hear is like, is that fourth episode, the Baby Jesus Christmas episode, is like considered the weakest episode.
Oh,
but
yeah, see, it has its moments that it wins back because at the end you have everybody breaking into their houses, so then it's like, what the fuck is going on? What are they doing? Yeah. That was kind of meandering. What was season 2? I don't even remember season 2. Or I mean episode 2.
Episode 2. That was called Penguin 1, Us 0. Which refers to, it was just the one with like Meg chopping the tree down.
Oh, right. That one was kind of slow,
They
too.
set it up with like him in the psychiatrist's office being interviewed by that shrink, and he's got like that toy penguin, blow up penguin doll. And he's like, I got kids who take their frustration out on it. But we never saw the follow-up scene where Kevin goes back and just like beats the hell out of that penguin. That's the one where he's just like, I'm going to take apart this industrial bagel toaster.
See, I love that moment. I love that moment where, I don't know. Yeah, because it's just like the bagel vanished, and it's like I have to get to the bottom of this.
I'm not going crazy like my dad.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that goes back to one of my favorite scenes in the 7th episode where he's at the diner with his dad, and his dad gives him the National Geographic magazine.
Oh right.
And his dad just says something. I don't know why this always sticks with me, but it was kind of how I was feeling about like this show and its placement in like our culture and this.
Yeah.
He's like, we're in the fucking game now. You understand? That whistle blew 3
We're in the
years
end game
ago.
now.
Cannot ignore it anymore. Our services are being requested. Eyes open, wide awake. This is your invitation. This is your purpose. This is what you fucking accept. And that just had shivers down my spine. I don't know why. Even though it's like his dad's a little nutty, but
Well, Scott Glenn's just also a great grizzled actor, and the way he delivers that stuff is like.
Guys, his muscles just bulging out of his arms.
Yeah.
He's like 100 years old.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I thought that was really good, and the whistle imagery because it gives all the Guilty Remnant whistles.
Oh yeah, didn't pick that up on that. Yeah.
There was something where they were like, I probably shouldn't even bring it up because I don't even remember the moment, but there's definitely moments where I was like looking up like why was this in the show, and the article was just like the creators being like, wouldn't it be funny if we did this weird thing? How would we pull this off? It's like, let's try to pull it off. Oh, we did it.
Right.
And it's like really no other meaning behind it.
Yeah.
I wish I could remember what it was, but
It's like a lot of time creative decisions are just like, let's just try it out and maybe it'll spark something else.
right.
You know?
Yeah. I'm trying to see if there's anything else in my notes here. I did want to discuss the Gladys episode just because that was like the first like brutal, like I feel like that was the moment where you start kind of like
You sit up and pay attention when that moment happens.
yeah, and like
after all that wacky hijinks with the baby Jesus doll,
Right.
it's like, okay, now we're getting down to business.
yeah, and like you kind of feel bad for the Guilty Remnant, and you kind of get like more of like she is a human, like,
Right.
she's fucking stoned to death. And
Yeah.
I did do some research. I was like trying to find like
Oh yeah.
stoning and like how it is still practiced
Yeah.
in certain parts of the world. But yeah, I was trying to see if there was any kind of specific like law that gets broken, like that was stoning was like this is what stoning is for, but I couldn't really find anything.
Okay. Definitely cheaper than lethal injection.
Oh,
I imagine,
yeah,
you
my
know?
God,
You just
yeah.
go outside and pick up a few rocks and
right,
you're good to go.
No shortage of rocks.
Yeah, a lot of rocks. They're everywhere.
Yeah, they're everywhere. You love to see them.
You love it.
And I also thought that I had a false memory.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they allude to that Matt did it. Because Kevin even interviews Matt, and he's like, "Where were you that night?"
Right.
And he's like, "Oh, I was with my church group, and we were making flyers." And then Kevin goes to his house, and it's like Matt and like a bunch of people helping Matt. And I had a false memory in my head that there's a reveal later that
Okay.
Matt stoned her to death.
Right.
But then you find out that Patty admits to it.
Right, yeah.
I don't know where that came from.
Yeah,
in my
I mean,
head.
there's the moment he's like, well, you know, I like to see her body, and then like, you realize you're a suspect in this mask. Oh, well, obviously when I'm not, I still like to see her. So
That's an interesting parallel because
Yeah.
Kevin's alone with Matt when they look at Gladys's body,
Uh-huh.
and he like kind of gives her a blessing, and then he's like, "Don't touch Patty. If you touch her, we're both in this." And
Oh,
then
it's
he and then he
it's a
closes
crime
her eyes.
scene. Yeah.
yeah.
We're both in this.
Wow. I
Yeah.
just thought of that. Oof. This show. I love this show.
I love this show, man. It's. I mean, I don't know how much longer it could have went. Like we got 3 seasons. Final season was only 8 episodes. It probably could have been a couple more. I think they could have had like a good 4-season run.
I think so too.
But it was not getting any kind of awards. Ratings probably were in the gutter.
Yeah.
So these things are expensive.
I tried to get people to watch it. I was like,
Yeah.
"This is a good show," and like,
I
but
bought
it
a
is-
T-shirt.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Jai is wearing his Miracle Texas
Miracle
T-shirt
Texas
from season 2.
population, 9,261 departures 0.
Yep. And so we find out that's where season 2 kind of
I
starts
wore
off.
this like every Sunday when the final season aired, just walking around town, just hoping people would say something about
Nobody
it.
does.
Which is why we wear clothes, right? Just so people can comment on it and just like,
Yeah.
oh, I like that band. Or,
By
I
the way,
like
you
that.
haven't commented on my Good Clean Fun T-shirt.
Good Clean Fun. Who shares wins.
Yeah.
I don't know it, so.
Does you like it? It's cool, right?
I mean, it's got good colors. I like red and blue and white.
Okay.
It's very patriotic shirt.
Okay, cool.
You think about
Thanks.
it, so
I like your shirt too.
thank you.
All right, cool. Now we can take them off.
Yeah.
We've accomplished our thing for the day. Yeah, I think that's really all that I had to talk about. There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot we could unpack, and I don't want to go episode by episode because
No,
it's
I think we touched on the moments that stood out to us the most.
Did you have anything else? We talked about our opinions on like our favorites and our least favorite moments. I had a hard time finding like least favorite
The music.
moments.
Want to touch on the music? You're a musician.
Yeah.
You know how songs work,
right?
How they toy with our heads, how they're just patterns that our brain likes. Music.
Yeah. Music. That's what I think of when I think of music.
Yeah.
Just patterns.
Right.
No, I love the music choices. The score of the show is really great. I already said that I didn't like the ham-fisted popular music being.
Take me to church.
Yeah. I hate that song. And I hate it even more after seeing it shoved into this episode.
That's what's going to end this episode, right?
Right, yeah. But the music, I don't know, music's such an important thing when it comes to like...
They do have that great moment when after Matt like beats the guy in the casino parking lot and he takes the money and he's just like kind of screaming in his car, and then it cuts that song by Captain and Tennille, like "Love Will Keep Us Together."
Oh, right.
Like bam, bing, bam,
Yes.
bam, bam, all jaunty and poppy and just,
Yeah.
He just beat a guy at the parking lot, but he got his money and he goes takes like the judge's street sign down and he's feeling good, baby.
Yeah.
So
There was
they have a sense of humor by music, at least.
Yeah.
Even more so in the subsequent. I shouldn't say the word subsequent if I can't say subsequent. So
Subsequent?
the future
You got it.
seasons.
Yeah. No, because there's a is it second season or third season where it's like the theme changes.
Oh yeah, they do change it for season 2, then they change it again every episode of season 3.
Yeah,
So-
because there's one where it's like an acoustic
Yeah.
kind of thing, and I remember watching that live and being like, what happened? Did the show change? Is it not on? And I didn't realize it was the leftovers because it shows all those like collages of like them cut out.
Oh right.
The photos. There was one song thing I wrote down. I think it's a song by Nina Simone. It's that French song.
Oh yes, during it's the beginning of episode 8 when like
Yes.
Patty's like taking all the clothes out and like Kevin's making Swiss chard.
Kevin is an interesting cook.
Yeah.
I love when he makes that meatloaf and he's just like slathering it with ketchup.
Just all
Throws it in the
ketchup.
fucking oven. And then like Amy's like, it's really good.
But he's making like a full chicken as well.
Yeah. It's very manly.
Tablecloth.
Man. Yeah.
I mean, look, if Carrie Coon was coming to your house for dinner, I mean, I'd
Yeah.
break out all the stops, you know.
Well, what's such a classic American like family thing, and then like meat and potatoes. And it seems like
Pretty
that's all
much.
he can do.
Yeah.
And he
That
just,
and Yingling beer.
yeah, and Yingling beer.
And yeah, he's not like he doesn't eat a lot on the show. Oh, bagels. Our Kevin loves bagels,
Loves bagels.
which is rare for a cop. Cops are mainly into donuts. But
yeah.
it's a
Well,
good break
you
from.
know, he's trying to get healthy.
Yeah, he's treated.
Yeah. Nina Simone's "Ne me quitte pas," I think is the. I'm probably butchering that, but some of the lyrics are very on the nose with just like, you know, don't leave me. We must forget. All can be forgotten. That has already passed away. Forget the time of misunderstandings and the time lost. Trying to know how. Forget those hours that sometimes kill with slaps of why. The heart of happiness. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. That's the chorus. And I noticed by the end, it's I think the last verse here. Fire scorched lands that yield more wheat than the best April, and when
Did you say a scorched lands?
fire scorched lands.
Ooh.
There you go. There's your fire. The last verse is, don't leave me. I won't cry anymore. I won't talk anymore. I will hide over there to watch you dance and smile and to hear you sing and then laugh. Let me become the shadow of your shadow, the shadow of your hand, the shadow of your dog. Don't leave me.
Whoa.
Don't leave me. Don't leave me.
See, if that song was in English, it would have been like, this is too much. It's too on the
Right,
nose. But
yeah.
like if it's in Italian or what was it in?
French.
Yeah,
For sure.
then
I'm pretty see
that's prestige television 101, baby. You know?
it feels intentional, but part of me is just like Damon Lindelof. That's his name.
Yeah.
It's just Googling like songs that mention dogs.
Song,
and
lyrics,
fire.
dogs, fire, not talking, remembering.
Nina Simone.
Yeah.
All right, great. This is going in
Yeah.
episode 8.
Could have been the theme song for the whole show, but you know, we already gave it to Max Richter.
Theme song was horrifying.
Yeah.
I love every time it cuts to that of just the painting of. I guess it's supposed to be Garvey. It's a cop.
Yeah. It's like it's a cop, but it's not. It doesn't look a thing like him.
Cherubs just like grabbing him.
And there's like naked people just hanging around, and people like watching people go like float into the heavens.
very haunting.
And then it's like, oh, we're in a church somewhere. You know, the Church of the Departed. And,
Yeah. Now, the one of the old guy just like with his fist up.
Oh, his fist up. He's angry. Yeah.
And there's people like having sex, and there's like the young boy just like floating away from his parents.
No.
But yeah, just the way it would like the sound would cut out, and for a couple seconds, and then it'd be like bong, and then,
Yeah.
like, the music would start. It was like, yeah. It's like, what the fuck is this show? I remember watching the pilot. I'm like, what is this? Yeah, I mean, that's all I got.
Yeah, I think that's. I'll just say is I really appreciate how we just really showcase East Coast winters very well.
Yes.
Like it was like
Finally.
it's just like like really high piles of snow that were cleared by plow trucks like almost
Yeah.
immediately afterwards. It's bright and looks like shit, and there's like brown and black snow everywhere as well from all the soot. And it's not like you see some shows that are like they obviously like brought snow in and it just looks it's too clean and too
It felt
like,
real.
Yeah, this felt like a real like there was an actual snowstorm here. So
An actual small town.
yeah. You grew up around Mapleton, right? Upstate New York?
I'm in upstate New York, but I'm
Yeah.
like 6 hours north
Okay.
of New York City.
Gotcha.
So I feel like Mapleton is pretty close to New York because there's like one point where they're driving back. I don't know where Cairo is.
I think they said it was like north of wherever they were. I think it's the Hudson River, right?
Oh, okay.
There's shots of that in the pilot and also in the
Oh,
finale,
there was
so.
that bridge, and I wasn't sure if it was the
Is that the Tappan Zee Bridge? Yeah.
but I couldn't remember. But yeah, it did make me make me a little homesick because it is like like small New York town. Yeah, cool.
Well, that's it.
I think that's it. Yeah,
That's S1 of the leftovers.
S1. Yeah. That's my final thought. Would be check out the show. And
Plow
you
through.
probably
release-
already have.
Yeah,
if you're listening to this.
Yeah. If somehow you listen to all this and you haven't seen the show, but like give it to episode 3 at least. I'd say.
Yeah.
If it's not for you, keep on turning that dial. You'll find a frequency that works for you.
Yeah. Exactly.
A lot of shows there's a lot of shows.
It's too much
a lot
content.
Of, a lot of movies.
Yeah.
There's video games. There's going out in nature and just walking around and just wondering what you've done with your life.
Right, that's my
There's
favorite.
lots of ways to just
Yeah.
to spend your time.
I love the
So,
finale of that.
the finale.
Yeah. This is my favorite season.
Yeah, it's good season.
We will wait and watch and prove ourselves worthy. Amen.
Amen.
We'll wait and watch all of our shows and prove ourselves worthy by starting this podcast. Thanks for listening. This is Amusing Ourselves to Death with Jaya and Justin. And this has been season 1 of The Leftovers. That's about all I got.
Take care.
Yeah, take care. Trying to think of something pithy from the show, but
Same here. I'm looking through my notes.
I
I already used it, but like we don't podcast for enjoyment. We podcast to proclaim our faith.
Thank you. All right. Bye.